Hello there, I'm Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy, and welcome to Pearls of Liberty for April 13th, 2013. And the first idea that we will mention is North Korea. There's so much hype about, they're lined up on the border and they're going to start flinging nuclear bombs at people. So, but this doesn't quite add up with that.
Be afraid, be very afraid. This is the new fear campaign to make sure everybody is afraid of the crazy dictator that, oops, by the way, we gave them the nuclear weapons some time ago, and they can't really get all the way over here anyway, although some can nuke China, but we definitely want to be afraid, and that's the main point. This article points out that while we're seeing pictures of tanks in this square, there's actually kids and families ice skating. So, hey, what you see on the TV is not reality. We're living in a matrix, and that's what you can see here in this article.
And Fulford stated, I forget if it was last Monday's blog or the one before, that what was really going on was that the evil cabal was going to commit a false flag terror attack and blame it on North Korea, and this was just part of the setup.
Absolutely. The demonization campaign goes ahead of the false flag so that they have somebody that the dumbed-down American public will say, yeah, they must have done it, yeah, let's get them. And that's exactly what happened in Iraq, and that's what they're setting us up for here, if they can get away with it. But people are smarter. We've got a lot more liberty-minded people that are knowledgeable about false flags, and a lot more usage on the internet. So I'm thinking this is not going to fly. That's what my hope anyway.
I'll agree with that. And another big issue that has been discussed a lot this week is the legislation that the Senate has been considering to restrict, and as the word is, infringe upon gun rights. And it appears that the Congress is going to be more resistant to imposing gun legislation than the Senate. This paragraph from CNN: unlike senators, many of whom represent diverse states that include urban and suburban constituencies pressing for new gun restrictions, House districts are more narrowly drawn along partisan lines, and the current House is dominated by members in reliably Republican seats who feel less pressure to act. In many cases, these members are getting lobbied from constituents to hold the line against anything they think could curb access to guns.
Yeah, the key point is that they're getting lobbied. There's a lot of pushback on this from people that understand what Second Amendment encroachment means to our liberties, and they're telling their congressmen, don't go for this, and the congressmen are taking it seriously because the outcry is large. That shows the importance of our input. Even if you were to say that these guys are not really, they're all corporate United States, and they're all de facto, they're not real government, hey, it still helps to give them this pushback.
Interestingly enough, even though this is CNN, who one would think would be wanting to present the idea that gun rights are popular, their poll showed that background checks cause worry, and another poll that they did showed the importance of guns soaring, and gun owner concerns are also soaring. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, that's good. I think you meant to say that that you'd expect CNN to be promoting gun control legislation, but this poll shows that there are some serious obstacles to that, and that's a good thing. So people understand what's going on, and they can't get that much support. I did see one where female support for gun control is a lot more than male, and that's always a concern that there's more and more educated women, because really firearms are the great equalizer, and women need them even more than men because of the physical strength factor of how the gun equalizes that. So education is the key, and we're making progress.
Let's hope so. This was, I'm not sure if we're making progress in the light of this video.
There are still a lot of dumbed-down people who will sign anything if it agrees with the latest propaganda push, which is guns are bad, let's turn all the guns in. And here's Mark Dice doing a petition to repeal the Second Amendment there on the West Coast in San Diego area, California, and it's pretty discouraging how he can, with a straight face, totally deadpan, tell somebody that he wants it so that only the criminals have the guns, and the person would say, right, or great. So it's pretty alarming how many zombies we have out there.
Zombies and monsters.
Dilbert teams up with this stanky Bouthard to give us more unbelievably convoluted IRS regulations. Yeah, there are 3 comics here that we are sure will hit the spot in this time of year.
Yeah, this one especially. It matters in the tax code which kind of pants you're wearing. So not a vast exaggeration, only a somewhat mild exaggeration.
Yeah, whether your pants have pleats or not. So there's all kinds of trivia that mean nothing that's thrown in there to just for the sake of causing frustration. Ooh, this is a good one. Sherry Jackson used to work for the IRS, then found out that they were an illegal organization.
And what is on the screen, in a recent conversation with an official at the Internal Revenue Service, I was amazed when he told me that if the taxpayers of this country ever discover that the IRS operates on 90% bluff, the entire system will collapse. And that was from a senator in 1969.
Yeah, and it's not only bluff, it's bluff plus voluntary contract, and there is no law except contract law and agreeing to be a part of this. So there is opportunity for education and exposing of the bluff to really make the whole thing go poof, and that's what we're hoping for.
There is a rumor that you may have heard that it is going to go poof on Monday, but I'm not placing a whole lot of confidence in that.
Yeah, there's been rumors for many years, and I'm not sure if the rumors are ways that the system tries to entrap people who are promoting the rumors, or whether the rumor promoters are working for the good guys or the bad guys. It's all really hard to figure out, so there isn't really any change until we see the change and until the criminals are locked up. But this is one massive con game, and there are all kinds of scholarly books that I could give you to support that, but one that I've had for a long time is The Coming Economic Collapse, and that was, Americans were more aware of this stuff around the late 1800s than they are now. It's discouraging, but the dumbing down is somewhat successful, but there are people that are passing on the truth of this massive con game to people who want to know. So the truth is out there, as they say.
And isn't it really true that the money that's collected in taxes doesn't even go to pay for programs or for any public works to be done? That all of the money that basically is this correct, that the government gave the banks the right to create currency, and then the banks loaned that created currency to the government, and taxes go to pay back the banks. So that that whole thing is, it's just, there really is, it's so unfounded to collect money under those pretexts. It's really fraud.
Yeah, it's all really fraud, and you're correct that the taxes people pay, and of course the vast majority of tax people pay is the income tax, It didn't start out that way. It was sold to the people that'll never be more than 1%. Of course, now it's upwards of 30–40% for most people, for many people. And then half of the people don't pay any. So that's the perfect way of buying off the cattle so that you can't hurt the other cattle. Anyway, as Stefan Molyneux likes to say. Half the people are paid off, and half the people are paying interest on money that was created out of nothing. This is not even going to fund anything that you think it is. All this other stuff was paid for long before the income tax ever got as big as it is now. It's all going to line banksters' pockets and build our own enslavement system is really what it is.
And amazingly, as you kind of referred to, there are circumstances wherein maybe an older lady who's a widow who thought that she owned her house outright, maybe just through not understanding things correctly or not having the ability to pay, might fall behind in paying income taxes and lose her house to the IRS, whereas federal monies are paying for somebody else to live in a house.
Oh yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, there's stuff like that all over the place. It's a criminal system, bottom line. So just see it for what it is.
Does not compute.
Yeah.
When you really look at it, it just makes less and less sense. And some of the states are wising up. More states pursuing hard money.
Yeah, as you just explained, the monetary system really is the fraudulent beast and the elephant in the room that people don't usually talk about, although you have more and more people saying fiat money, bad, bad, bad. And that's important to say that, but it's also important to realize that we can get back to a hard money system, and hard money system doesn't necessarily mean everybody carries around silver and gold, or it doesn't necessarily mean that gold or silver is the primary backing instrument of the money. It can be less tangible things, but they need to be real assets, such as inventions or intellectual property rights or that kind of technology, natural resources, things like that that are measurable. So this is a move in the right direction. States pursuing hard money to get on a sound fiscal foundation. This whole thing that we're in right now was set up to create a bubble where the money became worthless and then real assets could be bought up with the fake money before the people discovered the need for money to be backed by real assets. But it's a horse race now to find out who can win, whether the banksters can buy more capital, buy more collateral with their fiat money, or whether they can move on. Whether the people can actually wise up and correct the system. So why are central banks buying gold? We are finding out that the propaganda that's being pushed is that gold was in a bubble. Now the bubble is collapsing and you need to get out of gold. They're trying to discourage more common people from buying gold while the central banks are actually buying it. And of course that's what I was talking about earlier, how they're buying up all the real assets, all of the commodities that have real value, while they're telling people, oh no, don't buy that.
Gold has definitely been in the news a lot this week, and we have a few articles here, and I think this is really the one that you wanted to focus on.
Yeah, it actually came out when in a quote from, I forget, some federal official, that the Fed really has been orchestrating this collapse of gold. And it's not really fair to call it a collapse. It's a economists would probably call it a correction, and it's when there's a significant drop in the price. And at this point, it's made a lot of news articles, but people like Paul Craig Roberts are exposing that it was the Fed that orchestrated this collapse. And this is what the power brokers always do. They will create a bubble or a run-up, and then they will collapse it. And that's when they buy, and that's when they tell you, the people, not to buy. So, yeah, the Fed is behind this.
And there's always, just because fear and greed are the two aspects of human behavior and emotion that drive the markets, the tendency is for fear to kick in. Fear is even a stronger emotion than greed. And fear kicks in, and everybody wants to get rid of theirs before the price goes lower. And in most markets are manipulated that way, but when this is a commodities market, and there is something there that will always have real value. It's not like a corporation with this, where the stock might, actually go to zero or something. Silver and gold are always going to have real value.
Yeah, and things like orange juice.
We believe that one of the best places to learn about commodities trading and just even the markets in general is the movie Trading Places. And also it's a great place to learn about how the cabal manipulates the markets. And Aaron Russo was the producer of that film.
Right, it's all in the form of a comedy, of course, and but some brilliant truths are made there. And if you're not aware of how the system works, you think this is just a little exaggeration, but it's actually pretty close to the truth of how the game is played. So, yeah, good way to understand it, the system.
Yeah, I think it might be on Netflix now. It was just a couple months ago. It's kind of a Christmas movie, but one that you can always learn something from.
And that's why I said orange juice, because this is about the orange juice commodity trading game. That's the commodity in question in the movie. But it all relates. It's the same as gold. It's the same as silver. Anything can be manipulated.
So, is there anything further that you would like to mention?
Oh no, I'll just remind people to see the world the way that it really is. See yourself in it. Walk your walk. You are the one you've been waiting for.
Thanks for joining us.